Hey everyone, Supercell Celeste here. Today's Sunday, February 11th, and today I'm going to be talking about this cross-country snowstorm moving in today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, and especially how it gains steam into the northeast region of the United States, bringing a potential heavy snowstorm for the northeast. So I'm going to be looking at several weather models today. I don't want to overwhelm you guys by looking at too many, so I'll just show you the main ones and show you the snowfall forecasts, what they're showing with each different model, and then I'll show you guys what I think will happen. So we're starting off here with the European model. This is looking at the jet stream winds, 300 millibars. This is for this morning, and basically what's going on is we have this very deep trough. You can see right here. Very deep trough ejecting out into the Great Plains region. That's why we're getting snow this morning and heavy storms in Texas. Snowstorm in the northwest part of the state, while tornadoes and severe thunderstorms are occurring in the southeastern part of the state. Now as we go forward in time, going into this afternoon and tonight, you can see this trough ejecting out into the southern plains right here, and it'll be moving to the east and northeast. Now what's going on is that we have the southern stream, we have the subtropical jet down here, and then up here in Canada and the upper Midwest we have the polar jet, the northern stream. Now what's going to happen is that these two will phase along the east coast, and that's what causes the big snowstorm for the northeast region. And I'll show you guys that. Going into tomorrow morning, here we have this trough moving into Missouri and northern Arkansas. And then going into tomorrow night, watch what happens. The northern and southern streams start to phase tomorrow night as the center of the storm moves over Kentucky and West Virginia. So as this happens, you can see the wind speeds increase a lot in the jet stream along the southeast and also across northern New England. And what's going to happen is now we have a jet streak occurring across the southeastern United States. And as we go into overnight, Monday night, into very early on Tuesday morning, you see we have the jet streak across the southeastern United States. And then on the left exit region of that is where we have a lot of good divergence going on. And that's where our low pressure system is going to be sitting over West Virginia, maybe Virginia and Maryland. And as it moves off the coast of the northeast, it's going to undergo what's called bombogenesis potentially, which is rapid intensification of a low pressure system where it could, and if it drops 24 millibars in 24 hours, then it could be classified as a bomb cyclone, which could possibly happen off the northeast coast on Tuesday. Here we go, going into Tuesday, that storm moves off the east coast. I'll go right to the precipitation values. This is still the European model looking at precipitation. This is this morning. You can see the low pressure system developing over Texas. We have a snowstorm along the Panhandle with thunderstorms occurring along the southeastern portion of the state into northern Louisiana. Actually, at the time of this video, we do have some tornado warnings going on to the north of Houston where a tornado watch is in effect. And then going into this afternoon, here we have the low pressure system developing along eastern Texas, 1,005 millibars forecasted. And with the snowstorm still ongoing across portions of northwestern Texas into the Panhandle, going into tonight, you could see that snow moves into Oklahoma, where it could potentially be more of a mix. Oklahoma City should see a good amount of snow, maybe a couple inches, but Tulsa might be more of a mixed bag and see lesser snow amounts, maybe more of an inch. I'll show you guys that soon. Then going overnight into early tomorrow morning, we have the snow moving into southern Missouri. Southern Missouri here with the storm itself centered near Memphis, Tennessee, and the 1,002 millibars forecasted. And then as we go into Tomorrow evening, you can see the storm starts to pick up intensity down to 991 millibars, with snow on the backside over southern Illinois and southern Indiana. This would be around 8 p.m. tomorrow night. And then as we go into the overnight hours, this would be around midnight, maybe 1 a.m. tomorrow night. You can see how the storm is now down to 987 millibars over West Virginia, and look at all this dark blue on the northern side of it and western side developing, which is indicating potentially heavy snow developing over maybe portions of southeastern Ohio into northern Pennsylvania and upstate New York. And then just a few hours later, this would be 3 hours later, overnight, early Tuesday morning, we can see down to 983 millibars, so rapidly starting to gain strength, and very heavy snow on the northern side across Pennsylvania, New York, and southern New England. The European model and most models actually are showing mostly rain for New York City and Long Island to begin, which will bring the heaviest snow to the north of New York City, and maybe snow on the backside, which I'll show you guys. As the storm moves off the coast, look down to 997 millibars. This will be around late morning on Tuesday. Very heavy snow still occurring across southern New England and southern Maine, with snow on the backside of it now into New York City. Not very heavy on the backside, but enough to cause a little bit of traffic on the roads. And then by Tuesday night, that whole storm system starts to move off the coast. Before I show you guys the snow amounts, let's go to the GFS model to show you guys what that's showing. Same general idea. Here's this morning snow over Texas, and as that storm starts to pick up steam, now we have that storm moving into Tennessee, snow on the backside in Missouri tomorrow afternoon. There we go. And then the GFS is actually a little bit farther north, bringing the snow into portions of almost northern Ohio and into far northern Pennsylvania by overnight tomorrow night into very, very early on Tuesday morning. This purple area would be extremely heavy snowfall rates in this northern Pennsylvania very early Tuesday morning. And then as the storm starts to undergo bombogenesis, it starts to rapidly drop in its millibars. Its millibars start to drop rapidly down to 982 millibars, and then 977, 974 by Tuesday afternoon, as that snow moves across southern New England and then off the coast by Tuesday night. And then I'll show you guys one more model here, the NAM. Let's go to the NAM. Actually, let's go to the high-res NAM. So this is a high-resolution model, the NAM 3 kilometers. Let's go to the 12Z, actually. Yeah. Okay, so here, this is a high-resolution model. So here's this morning, snow moving across the panhandle of Texas and western Oklahoma, and then going into tonight, the NAM tends to overdo the snow over Oklahoma, bringing heavy snow into Oklahoma City. I don't think it'll be that as extreme as what the NAM is saying, but definitely snow across Oklahoma tonight, overnight, and then tomorrow morning moves over into southern Missouri. And then as we go into overnight tomorrow night, snow moves into southern Indiana, potentially northern Kentucky, central Ohio, and then it really picks up intensity over Pennsylvania, New York. You can see a large shield of snow on the northern and western side of the system, with the sharp cutoff, a very sharp cutoff on the northern side of the snow. It's still a bit hard to forecast where that cutoff will be. How far north and northwest does that snow go? And I'll zoom in on the northeast region in a bit. And then as we go into Tuesday afternoon, the NAM is actually very far north with the snow, bringing it way up into Vermont and New Hampshire and into western Maine right here. And then that storm moves off the coast. Now, let's go straight to the snowfall forecast to show you guys what's going on with the snow. This is going back to the European model. Let's go through the whole event right here. So the first thing you notice is how much more snow is forecasted for the Northeast as that storm undergoes bombogenesis. But this whole area from Texas, northern Texas, all across to the Northeast could get potentially a few inches of snow out of this. That includes, the panhandle of Texas, Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, portions of central and southern Ohio, and then especially into Pennsylvania, New York, and into southern New England. Now, there will be lesser amounts from Texas to Ohio, where I think this area here could potentially get maybe 1 to 3 inches. I think the panhandle of Texas could get more than that, maybe 3 to 5 across here, and maybe western Oklahoma. A little bit less in the Tulsa area right here. But I think southern Missouri and northwest Arkansas and the Ozarks could get potentially maybe 2 to 4 inches out of that. And then as we go into the northeast region, a large area of 6+ inches of snow forecasted for all inland areas away from the coast, from northern Pennsylvania into southern New England. I'll zoom in on that area in a moment. But first I want to show you the GFS model, what it's forecasted. As we go into let's go to Wednesday morning. The GFS is overdoing the snow, I think, a lot in Oklahoma, southern Missouri, all the way into Ohio. It's trying to forecast amounts over 6 inches for this area. That's too much in my opinion. It'll be more on the range of 1 to 3, I believe. And then still the heaviest amounts here across from Pennsylvania into southern New England, where 6 to 12 inches possible, with potentially over a foot across the higher elevations of northern Pennsylvania and southern New York, upstate New York to the west of Albany. Here, let's go to another model. Let's go to the NAM. Here's what the NAM is saying. The NAM is also, I think, overdoing snow a lot, actually, for the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. It's trying to bring a foot into Oklahoma City. Don't pay attention to that. That's overdoing it. I think Oklahoma will be more in the range of 2 to 4 inches. And still trying to bring over 6-inch amounts from southern Missouri into southern Ohio. I still think that's overdoing it. That area should see more in the 1 to 3 inch range. And it's bringing the heaviest snow into northern Pennsylvania, southern New York, and with a little bit less into southern New England. I think southern New England will get more than what this is forecasting. The NAM is only forecasting about 3 to 5 inches for southern New England, including Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. I think that area will be more in the 6 to 12 inch range. And I'll zoom in on that area in a moment. One more model I want to look at is actually just the NWS blend of models, which is basically like the most realistic forecast. And then just going into Wednesday morning, this is like like I said, the most realistic forecast. 1 to 3 inches, maybe more than that across the panhandle of Texas and much of Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, into southern Missouri. Then a little bit less from southern Illinois into Ohio, where the range will be more like 1 to 2 inches across maybe areas like Cincinnati and Columbus, Evansville, Indiana, into Youngstown, Ohio. And then the heaviest amounts across northern Pennsylvania into southern New England and coastal Maine. Large area of 6+ inches possible, including places like Scranton, Albany, Boston, Hartford, Bangor, Maine. All those places could get potentially 6 inches plus of snow out of this. Um, Let me zoom in on the northeast region since it's going to be a bit tricky once you get down to the coast. Let's go back to the European model. By Wednesday morning, we'll go to. You can see heaviest amounts, obviously, inland areas of southern New England, from central Pennsylvania all the way down to the coastal areas, and as far north as Albany, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, and coastal Maine. Now, Long Island and New York City will be on the rainy side of the system to start out, so that's why a lot less amounts for Long Island and New York City. Also, coastal Connecticut and coastal Rhode Island will be on the rainy side, potentially, and more of a mixed bag to start out. So that's why lesser amounts there. The heaviest amounts will be just inland in most of Connecticut. Once you just get about 10, 15, 20 miles away from the ocean in Connecticut and Rhode Island. And then also much of upstate New York, southeastern New York, northern Pennsylvania and the high elevations, and then, like I said, into much of southern New England. Let's go to the GFS. The GFS, like I said, a little bit further north. It's bringing the snow. It's bringing the snow further north, just a little bit, especially across western Pennsylvania and Ohio, where the GFS is forecasting more heavier snow for central Ohio, while the European is forecasting more for southern Ohio. And then, but in general, it's the same idea for northern Pennsylvania into southern New England, although I think it's overdoing it across portions of southern New England, where it's trying to forecast a foot of snow across Connecticut, Rhode Island, and southern Massachusetts, especially down to the coast, which I do not believe will happen. It's even trying to bring 6+ inches for Long Island, which is also overdone, I believe. I believe Long Island should only end up with 1 to 2 inches, maybe 3 inches. And coastal Connecticut and Rhode Island should be more in the 2 to 4, maybe 5-inch range. And then let's go straight to the NWS blend of models, because this is the most realistic forecast, I believe. By Wednesday morning. Yeah, this is the NWS blend of models is actually not even forecasting an inch of snow for the majority of Long Island. And then even into coastal Connecticut, into coastal Rhode Island, only about 1 to 3 inches possible there, including places like Bridgeport and New London. The heaviest snow obviously still forecasted for northern Pennsylvania, inland portions of New England, and into coastal Maine. Now, the big winners, I think, will be places like Scranton, Pennsylvania, Albany, New York, Binghampton, New York, Hartford, Connecticut. I think Boston should get 6+ inches out of this. Bangor and Augusta, Maine, and into southern New Hampshire and southern Vermont. I think all these areas, I agree with this a lot here, what it's showing, where 6+ inches of snow forecasted for all this area. Basically anywhere in this pink and purple color is over 6 inches of snow forecasted. And I do like what it's showing, the amounts for portions of central Ohio were only about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches possible there, from Cincinnati into Columbus and Youngstown. Now, I just want to show you guys what I think will happen, just showing you guys my forecast. Let me pull up a blank map here. So basically what I'm thinking is anywhere in this area will definitely get snow. Let me just make a general circular area. I think into St. Louis, south of Indianapolis, Columbus, Youngstown, and then into upstate New York. I think all of this area will see snow, whether it's just a light amount or a heavy amount. This area will, I think, definitely see snow out of the system. And I'm going to highlight this area here as getting slightly heavier amounts, and then definitely across from Pennsylvania into New England. That area will get the heavier amounts too. And while portions of from Missouri into Ohio could only get like 1 to 2 inches and only lighter amounts, including places like St. Louis, Evansville, Cincinnati, Columbus, maybe only an inch out of the system, 2 inches. But places like Lubbock and Amarillo, Texas, into Oklahoma City could potentially get 2 to 4 out of this storm. And then as we go into the northeast region, let's zoom in. I think I'll highlight this whole area is getting snow out of the system. I think everyone here will see snow from this storm highlighted within that red area. And then I think the heaviest amounts will be, the best chance of getting 6+ inches will be across northern Pennsylvania, into inland Connecticut and Rhode Island, into eastern Massachusetts, and then going into to the north of Albany, into southern Vermont and New Hampshire, into coastal Maine. I think that's the best area of getting 6+ inches of snow out of this storm. Definitely enough to cause traffic headaches and maybe flight delays for this area. The heaviest snow would be overnight, early Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon for the area I dashed in red. Now, I think places like Albany, Boston, like I said, Hartford, Scranton, State College, into Augusta and Bangor, Maine. These areas will get the heaviest snow out of the storm. I think 6 to 12 inches are the most likely estimate as of now for snow. And I guess that's all I have for today. I didn't want to make this video too long. Just giving a general idea of where the snow will happen and what you might expect out of this. So I hope it was informative, and I hope you guys have a great day.